Would you like to know how to make these beautiful Christmas cards? Well, then keep watching and I'll show you how. Hey, welcome back to Karen's Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. First, let's take a look at the supplies that I've used, and I've got them here. In English, it's called Christmas to Remember. In Dutch, Fantastische Feestdagen, and I've used this small one. Then I've used the seasonal labels, and to be precise, this one. I've used the stitched rectangle dies, and I've used the fourth largest, so that's the one, 2, 3, and the fourth largest. My ink is Misty Moonlight. I've already cut a label, which I'm going to use later on. I have a piece of Misty Moonlight, which is going to be a mat, which is 2 3/4 by 4 1/8 of an inch. You need a basic white mat, you need a thick basic white base card, and you're going to need the wonderful snowflakes. These are so beautiful. Look how shiny. You're going to need two. There's one shiny side which is smooth, and on the back there's just paper, and you just remove them very carefully like this. I mean, they're attached at some points, and you loosen them. So here I have my two snowflakes, and I'm going to use one the shiny side and the other one with the paper side top, and I'll show you how I cut my cardstock. This is an A4 sheet, which means it is over 11 inches, but for the proportions of the card, because I'm using the rectangular die, it's better if you reduce it to 11 inches. And of course, if you work in letter, your cardstock already is 11 inches. So I'm opening my arm, I suppose you would call it, and I'm going to cut it down to 11 inches to start with. And this bit that I've cut off can be used for my sentiment, of course. If you work in letter, you will have to get a different scrap. Close my arm again. And now I'm going to cut my card at 4 1/8, because an A4 sheet is 8 1/4, so it's 4 1/8 for me. If you work in letter, you could leave it at 4 1/4, no problem. So now it is 11 inches by 4 1/8, or if you like 4 1/4, and I'm going to score it later on at 5.5 inches. So it is 28 centimeters by 10.5, and I'm going to score it at 14, but I'm going to do that at the end. So here I have my piece of cardstock for the base card. First I'm going to make the front of the card, and now I have to decide whether I want it portrait or landscape. I'll go with landscape, why not? So I'm putting my base card over here for a minute. This is a piece of basic white, which is the same size as it's half the size, I should say, of the base card, which means it is 4 1/8 by 5.5 inches. If you work in letter, it's 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And this I'm going to make the background with. And for that I'm using my Stamparatus and a magnet. And of course, I forgot to tell you, a blending brush. Now then, I'm going to put my paper on my Stamparatus, and I'm using a magnet to hold the paper down. It's easier. Then I'm going to use one of my snowflakes. They're very delicate, so make sure they don't interlock, because they're likely to tear them apart. And here's a bit which I have to take away. So I'm putting the shiny side down, and as I said, I'm going to make a landscape card. So where my sentiment is going to be, I'm going to stay away there. So I'm going to do my blending a bit away from this corner. If you make it portrait, you would stay away from that corner. I've discovered it looks better like that. So, as I said, oh look, there's another tiny bit still in there. Make sure you remove all those. That must have happened with the laser cutting. See if it's, yeah, now all the eyelets are open. So I'm going to put it on my Stamparatus, and I'm just putting it down randomly, and I put a magnet on top. And then I'm going to do my blending, and I'm going to put in some scrap paper because you don't want too much ink on your blending brush. So before I go to paper, I'm putting a finger guard on. This is just one of those things that you use when you have sticking plaster on your finger, but I've discovered it keeps my finger clean. And see, and now I'm tapping off the excess ink, and I'm gently moving outwards, making sure I don't touch my hand because you get really inky fingers. And now I can put my hand on top, still secure my card, and then gently use my blending brush to put the ink down. I think I moved it a bit there. And I think I'll go back here again. So I'm putting it back on where it was, you can see. And then very gently some more colour. And towards the bottom here I'm just fading away the colour. You see that there I made a small mistake. It's rather dark there, so I'll see if I can do something about it. Try to blend it out a bit. I mean, if you do get some darker spots, it should be no problem, but this one is rather too dark. Well, I think when the card is finished it will look okay, I don't know. But be careful, there is where I forgot to tap it off first. So these things happen. Okay, now I have one snowflake which is blue and the other one which is white. And then I'm going to use my die to cut a hole in the cardstock, and I'm putting it as best in the middle as I can, and I'm going to die cut this. And I have a tip for you. When you remove your die cut, well, even before you remove it, you could make a little pencil mark to show which side belongs together. Here I've put the T for top, because that is going to be the top of my card. Okay. Now I'm taking my base card and I'm going to adhere this, and since I was going to make... Oh, this isn't the right size, is it? I'm going to cut off that bit in a minute. You see, my base card is a bit larger than my... I did cut it 4 1/8. Oh, this is one of those days. Never mind me, I'll cut it down later. So I'm going to put this on top of my base card, and I'm just using the multi-purpose liquid glue for that. So here I'm making sure that these two sides, this corner, aligns with the base card. and I'm quickly going to cut away that bit. Now I'm going to put this one on top, and the size is just slightly bigger than this line that you can see. Don't know the English word for that, sorry. I wouldn't even know the Dutch word either. It's not serrated, is it? It's almost stitched. I'm calling it a stitch line then. So this is just over that stitch line, so I'm going to adhere that as well. So it'll peek out from under what I've cut off, so I'm just putting it over there, making sure that it covers all the stitched lines, and then press down. And now you can see why it comes in handy when you write down top, because then you don't have to see where it matches. You can see immediately where it matches. See, because then the snowflake will continue over that blue line. And you see this dark bit is not too bad, is it? It's okay. Yeah. Now I'm going to do my scoring at the 5.5 inch mark. And because I put the cardstock on first, it's going to be a beautiful top of the card. So 5.5. And then you can fold your card in half. Use your bone folder. And it has a really beautiful top. Now all I have to do is stick on my 2 snowflakes. I'm getting them in, and I'm adhering them using my mini glue dots. So one goes roughly there, and the other one, I'll make sure that the shiny side is top. Put it on there. And then you can stamp the sentiment, Misty Moonlight. Now I usually use thick basic white for that, because the paper is just that bit more sturdy. Okay. And I've die cut another bit. I'm going to stick them one on top of the other for the extra sturdiness. So I'm going to die cut this. And then I'm attaching it to my card using dimensionals. Oh, I've nearly run out of dimensionals, I see. Well, time for a new sheet then, but there are still a couple on. And I just need 3, and there are 3 on. Now there's a happy coincidence. And of course you could use these bits as well if you cut them down and use them on your projects. I never throw away what I have left around the edges. Right, remove the backing. And put it on the card, and I like it if it overlaps a bit there. And there you have your card finished. Now, which do you prefer? Portrait mode or landscape mode? If you liked my video, please give me a like. It helps me grow my channel. And don't forget to watch the suggested videos there. Now I can say thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.